Welcome to the Latin Quarter, located in and around the 5th arrondissement of Paris, here on the left bank south of the River Seine. It's a place full of history, culture, and some of the most unmissable sights in the French capital. It takes its name from the students of the Middle Ages speaking Latin, the language of the educated scholars roaming the streets around the Sorbonne University behind me. Established in 1257, it's one of the oldest universities in Europe and still the most prestigious in the country. Let's go and explore the Latin Quarter. Back in Roman times, Paris was known as Lutetia. It might not look like it did in the 1st century AD anymore, but the arènes de Lutèce were once the site of an ancient Roman amphitheatre which held over 15,000 people. If nothing else, it's a good place to come and play football while you imagine how things were all those years ago. If you like your history a little more medieval, then you have to come to the Museum of the Middle Ages. As you step inside this 15th century building, which was once the residence of the powerful Order of Cluny, you'll be transported back in time with some excellent collections of medieval art and artifacts. It's small, humble, and most tourists don't come here, so make sure you take a look. The Latin Quarter is home to one of Paris's most charming green spaces, the Jardin du Luxembourg. While you can't visit the magnificent palace of the same name, it's one of the best places to come for some fresh air away from the traffic of the city. Undoubtedly one of the highlights right here at the main fountain. You can really get a feel for Paris's rich history along Rue Mouffetard, the heart of the Latin Quarter. It has vibrant bars and cafes to stop and have a drink, but with its old cobblestones, you can feel the history of this once working class neighborhood. One of Paris's most unmissable buildings is the breathtaking Panthéon, dedicated to the greatest minds and heroes of the French. It's the final resting place of some of the most influential people in history, including Voltaire, Rousseau, Alexandre Dumas, Marie Curie, Victor Hugo, and Louis Braille. Make sure you take a trip down into the crypt too. Make sure you stop by the Église Saint-Séverin, one of the oldest churches still in use in all of Paris. Parallel to the river is one of the most popular touristy streets, Rue de la Huchette. You need to be really careful walking down here as it's always crammed full of people. At least stop by to take a photo at the narrowest street in all of Paris, called La Rue du Chat qui Pêche. Those lucky enough to get to sleep in one of the 13 hidden beds here are called the tumbleweeds, and they're required to help out at the bookstore for at least 2 hours a day. As it says on the wall, "Be not inhospitable to strangers, lest they be angels in disguise." You can end your foray into the Latin Quarter with a visit to the most famous church in all of Paris, Notre Dame. Completed in the 14th century, it's one of the best examples of Gothic architecture in the world. It sits on the Ile de la Cité in the middle of the River Seine. For years, this cathedral was in a state of neglect, ransacked and besmirched during the days of the French Revolution. But when Victor Hugo wrote the best-selling novel, Notre Dame de Paris, it brought fame to this forgotten icon of the capital. And you might know the story best as the Hunchback of Notre Dame. In April 2019, the world watched on in sadness and horror as fire broke out in the cathedral, destroying the 800-year-old wooden roofs. While it's closed for repairs and renovations, you can still admire the immortal facade and Gothic architecture that has captured the world's attention for centuries. Thanks for watching. Please check out our other videos here. If you're coming to Paris and want to find out more about the French capital's rich history and culture, why not take a tour with us? Visit www.rivieracrawltours.com and join us.